Okay, so it is now. We are going to get started and we're going to talk about the iron law of the market, right? The iron law of the market. So I'm excited about this because um, I'm excited about this because last week we did we had a last week we talked about how to analyze the market, right? So we did kind of a recap of, exactly how to analyze it, what we're doing. I'm super excited to kind of bring this over to us. Welcome to night school. Another week. This is the third week. So we are on, what is this? This is number four. I cannot believe it. So we are on number four. And tonight we will be talking about the iron law of the market, right? So this is kind of where hustlers turn, strategy into a real business. And so last week we talked about the 10 ways how to evaluate a market. Grace, is this showing up backwards to you, or can you see this clear? Can you see this straight, or is it showing up backwards? Is it showing up good for you?
Like when you say backwards, you mean like in a mirror?
Yeah, like can you read it clear from
Yeah,
your side? Okay, okay,
yeah.
good. Okay, okay, that's all I need to know. On my end, it looks backwards. Okay, cool. So we talked about the 10 ways to evaluate a market. We went through each one of those. Super excited about those, right? So we talked about the urgency, we talked about the market size, we talked about pricing potential, the cost of um, uh, acquiring a customer, uniqueness, um, the speed of the market and things like that. So that was super good. I hope we was able to do the homework. Um, but this week, now that we talk about the 10 ways to evaluate the market, now we're going to talk about the actual law of the market that kind of holds everything true. So you know how to evaluate it. But what is the law before we get into it, right? What is the law? So this is kind of the starting point. I went backwards a little bit because I wanted to, because a lot of us are in business already. So so I wanted to honor the fact that we're in business, but I want to make sure that we're clear about what is the law. All right. So what is the iron market? What is the law of iron market? Um, or the iron law of the market. Um, it's very simple. If you don't have a market, you do not have a business. Um, and the number one reason why businesses fail is lack of a market. It's because people um, like to create parties that nobody asked for. You know what I mean? Right? People like to create these parties and these ideas and things like that. And it's mostly, what's interesting is that most people create businesses that they're passionate about. And when you do that, that's, I swear, it's all well and dandy. I mean, even myself, right? This seed thing, right? I'm super passionate about it, but I had to make sure there's a market for it. I got to make sure there's people that want this. I got to make sure that people that need it. So how am I doing it? I'm giving away free classes, right? I'm really testing the market out, right? And so I'm really working on my demand, but a lot of us, we have to do that because we have to understand that if there is no market, you have no business, right? Say it with me. If there is no market, you have no business. So as we kind of do that, why is this important? Let's talk about that. Why is it important? Because when you understand that there is no market, then you avoid, right, undercharging and burnout. Because what happens is when it's not enough people, then you start to say, man, let me lower my prices. Let me lower my prices. I need to lower my prices. And then you work harder to find the people that you are trying to service, right? You work harder in trying to find the people you are trying to service. So, and then you let me see. So then in social media, right? So this is the other thing too. Um, you start to generate a necessary need to be on social media. Maybe I gotta be on social media more. Maybe I gotta show myself more. Maybe I gotta show the value. And and the value isn't necessarily clear. Um, so when you have the law and when you understand the law, it really puts you in a position to solve more problems and solve problems of urgent need. Um, the law, well, hold on. We'll go to the next one. So here's what happens when you ignore the market. I'm sorry. So here's what happens when you ignore the market. Um, you start to build things and spend money on things that people don't want. So in that case, look at what's a common look at restaurants. This happens often with restaurants. Somebody in the family told them they can cook, right? Somebody in the family told them they can cook. They go open a restaurant, spend all this money, get all the family investors and things like that, and they struggle, right? And they struggle to sell the product. And they usually struggle after the excitement wears down. So you can definitely generate excitement. Don't get me wrong. People always want to know what is this new thing. But don't confuse a new thing with a real thing. You know what I mean? Don't confuse a new thing with a real thing. So people are gonna, you can drive up excitement to see what is this all about, but it doesn't mean there's a market for it. You know what I'm saying? So we don't want to confuse what a new thing with a real thing. Um, you most of the time, and you also try to burn out. I'm sorry, you end up burning out trying to convince people to stay, hey, serve, right? Instead of pouring into what they need. Focus on what the needs of the people are. Focus on what they are looking for. What do they want? Right? And then who wants it? So who is they? What do they want? And then who wants it? We're gonna have a good time today. We're gonna have some we're gonna have some case studies. I forgot to move the dang on thing. In which I'm actually gonna move it now. So let's talk about case study number one. Let's talk about Kodak, right? Let's talk about Kodak. So Kodak made the camera. But what's funny about Kodak is that they actually built the camera in 1975, but they didn't release it. And I wonder why. I wonder why they didn't release it. And what we found out in the case study is that Kodak was married to selling film. Excuse me. So film was doing so well that they didn't even release it, right? The market is like, hey, we're actually transitioning. And if you think about every market is always transitioning in every phase into faster convenience, right? How do I get there faster? How do I get there cheaper? How do I get there more efficient, right? Every market is doing that. And Kodak had it, but they ignored what the customer wanted because they was invested so much um into Kodak, right? I'm sorry, into film. They were invested so much. The market wanted speed. So you can invent, here's a lesson. You can invent the future, but you're gonna still lose it if you ignore what the people want. Right. So you can have the future in your pocket and be like, you know what? They're not ready for it. And if you ignore the opportunity to give it to them, then they're gonna go somewhere else. And Kodak learned that lesson. Let's move on to the next one. Blockbuster, one of my favorites. One of my favorite. I used to go to Blockbuster, man. I used to go to Blockbuster every week. I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait to go to Blockbuster. I used to, that was Friday night with the fam. That's when we had our money, so everybody knew, when it's paycheck time, we going to Blockbuster. We have $20, and we can get a new release, and we can probably get one of the old ones that we wanted to watch, and we'll just kind of go through all of the VHSs, and then we'll go to the DVDs and things like that. Man, but what was Blockbuster's mistake? What did they mess up? They missed out on Netflix. See, here's the thing. Blockbuster's issue was that they committed to so much real estate. and a lot of their expenses and everything was built into a real estate model to where people they focus on the experience of people. People thought that, that nostalgia that I looked at and I talked about, that nostalgia was worth more than my time. You know what I'm saying? Right? So once, because I remember the shift. Once Blockbuster was still open, and then this thing called Redbox came. And I was like, man, I can go at any hours of the night and just go get me a movie. And I don't need to wait until it open. I don't need to, right? And I can pay. And I was like, whoa. And so what Blockbuster's mistake was, they felt that people were going to always love going into stores, right? Because they had these ideas and these models of all types of people coming in and learning and doing all types of stuff, right, with each other as a family, right? They wanted that experience. And they missed that the true experience is at home watching, right? That's the experience, is the memory at home watching. Now, I do remember going to Blockbuster, and I remember those times, but I also remember going to Redbox. but the common thread, what I really remember, is sitting at home watching, right? And so how we got there didn't matter for us, right? Actually, if we can get there sooner enough, the better. And so Netflix, understanding of this, gave an opportunity to Blockbuster, but they refused to buy for 50 million. Come on, y'all. I don't even want to know how much Netflix is worth today. But you know what's funny about, like when you think about the past, I wonder if they sold to Blockbuster, will Netflix be the Netflix of today? So it almost reminds me like that things happens the way that it's supposed to, but it still sucks to think about the opportunity. It still sucks to think about the opportunity. I'll tell you that much right now. Okay, let's go to the next case study. I got three. Google Glass. Who remember Google Glass? So Google Glass was interesting because they were, we talked about companies, and I chose these specifically because we talked about companies that ignored the market and didn't take advantage of what was in front of them. Sometimes you can be in the future too much, right? And the issue is that you're not really solving a problem. Like, you were like too ahead of the game, way too ahead of the game. And Google had this idea. Google's had this idea of, putting these glasses on, and then they were going to be cool tech wear. But what happened was they didn't understand that people just weren't ready. So it was fancy, it was cool, it had these, you can see the weather, and they can show you kind of what the maps is and all these things, but it was just way too expensive. There were privacy concerns, and people just weren't clear on when to use it. It's like the world wasn't ready yet. You know what I mean? I think now, Google now. I think I did hear Google was coming out with some stuff now, but how much of these things did Google produce? You know what I mean? They were hyped as like the next big tech wear, the next big, this is what we're gonna do, this is how we're gonna make it. They weren't hyped here. And it just didn't cross over. And I'm gonna be honest, I've never even seen these glasses in person. That's how crazy it was. I do remember them coming out. I do remember, this was a big deal, but I've never even seen these glasses in person. So kudos to one thing about Google that I appreciate, which is why I have them on here, is that they were able to make the transition fast, right? They said, hey, this isn't, they got the indicator real quick that people do not want these glasses. And thank goodness they were in a position to kind of pull them back, take the loss. I do wonder if they're going to do something similar with all these glasses, because if you think about I have a pair of the VR glasses, and I liked them for a second, but they're just too big. They're too bulky. Like, I don't want to be in the future, right? Or I don't want to be in the worlds for that long, right? And then have my headset on and different things like that. So forever, it was cool for a time. So I definitely understand that. But shout out to Google for being able to make that cool switch. But this is another case of not understanding the market. And remember, and the reason why this is important is because they put a lot of money into this. But clearly, even if you're Google, sorry, so I'm on my screen. Even if you're Google, if there is no market, what is the law of the market? The iron law of the market. If there is no market, there is no business. There's no business. Even if you're Google. That should say a lot. Even if you're Google. How do Google get it wrong? All right, here we go. So we're gonna work on some key terms today. So I'm gonna teach you guys some key terms. One of the key terms is called the tame, right? So I'm a think total ocean. And then the Sam, think you're a bay, and then the S.O.M. So tame, Sam, saw, S.O.M. Tame, Sam, S.O.M. So those are obviously acronyms that we're going to talk about. But just keep in your mind, right? Think total ocean, right? Everyone could buy. Think Sam, your bay. So think about, people likely to buy. That's from your kind of industry area. And think Psalm, your fishing spot, the actual customer. So we're gonna go through that individually. I am excited about that. I'm excited about that. Okay, here we go. So let's start with your tame. What is your tame? What is your tame? Your tame means your total available market. So this is everyone in the world who could buy your product. This is your tame. So this is everyone in the world who could buy your product. So I have an example. So if you sell skincare, your tame is every person in the world who buys skincare globally. So that is your total available market. So you have an opportunity to capture all these people. It doesn't mean you will, but 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 it tells you what the opportunities is. And in most cases, right, you want to try to capture as much as this as possible. So, and you have to know this number, right? So this is kind of like if you're in the accounting space, right? I got to talk about the accounting space. So if you're in the accounting space, your total available market is how many small businesses owners is there? Right? Especially if you're in the virtual accounting space. How many, because this lets you know, right, what the possibilities are. So we say, how many small businesses is there in the country? We could say the United States, right? In the United States, because everybody kind of falls under the same code there. How many accounting firms are in the United States? That is your TAM, right? I'm sorry, how many small businesses, right? Because that means you could possibly capture all these people. Okay. So then your SAM is your serviceable addressable market. So as of that big market, what is the segment of that large market you can actually reach based on your geography, your language, your pricing, who you're targeting, your industry? What does that look like? What is the addressable market that you can actually capture? That is your SAM. So this is important. So let's go back to the skincare. So for your skincare brand, your SAM might be women ages 25 to 45 in US with mid-level income. So I'm servicing. So even though there's a lot of people that need skincare and that buy skincare, right? The skincare that I'm actually selling is for women between the ages of 25 to 45. So this is the serviceable addressable market that I plan on capturing of that market. So the total addressable market is the skincare industry. And then the addressable market that I plan on capturing is between 25 and 45. So let's go to the accounting firm. So there are small businesses that there are a million, billion, trillion small businesses, right, that are out there. But then if I want to get in construction, right, how many construction businesses are there? Right. So now we just keep narrowing it down. This is your SAM. So when you have investors, when you're talking and when you're talking marketing or when you're talking to people, you also want to say, hey, this is my TAM and this is my SAM. This is my TAM. and this is my SAM. So this is my total addressable market, people that are in the industry, and this is my I'm sorry, this is my total available market, and then this is my serviceable addressable market. So this is how many I can capture. All right, good, 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 good. Okay, so then we got the S.O.M. So this kind of narrows it down a little bit more. So this is your serviceable, obtainable market. So addressable is how many people can you look to get, right? So what is the people that were in your specific industry? But then what is obtainable? What is actually obtainable? So let's talk about it. So this is the slice of SAM you can realistically convert into customers now with your current resources. So with what you have right now, this is what you can obtain of the addressable market. Does that make sense, Grace? You can put it in the, you can say something, you can put it in the chat. It don't matter. But
I guess the amount that you can actually obtain if you could, I guess, go through that again.
exactly. So 100%. So this is the part that you can actually capture, right? So this is the opportunity. So how many of this, so of this, let's go to beauty. So your psalm might be the 500 women in your city who already shop at indie beauty stores. So these are the people that you may not be able to capture via social media, right? So if you have stores, if you have a vendor shop, if you know in the beauty industry you have a vendor shop, then you really want to capture the ones that are actively shopping, right? And this is your market. This is your obtainable market. This is what you can do. So if we go to construction, your obtainable market. So we have the large market, right, of businesses, and then we narrow it down to the construction workers of the niche that you choose to be into. But then it's like, okay, how do we capture these people? And what's the amount that I can actually capture based on my ability to capture them, based on my ability to assess them, right? To have access to them, based on my ability to market to them, right? Be able, whether that's social media, whether that's, you know, understanding who they are in a language capacity, you know, construction, right? Do I know based off of and the beauty about the attainable market is that the attainable market can always grow. So this talks about how what you can obtain based on circumstances. So this is kind of where we got to be real with ourselves in the sense of, and this is where a lot of people miss the boat the most. So when it comes to serviceable, obtainable market, a lot of people say there are actually a lot of people who need accounting. There are a lot of people who need accounting. There are a lot of people who what's some other ideas? There are a lot of people who need tattoos. There are a lot of people who like art. There are a lot of people who and they use that word a lot, right? But then how many of those people can you capture? How many of those people that are actually in your market? How many of those people do you know that you're trying to sell to them? Right? How many of those people? So these are your obtainable people. So what you want to do is put yourself in a position to obtain more because that increases your psalm, right? So you may have data on the SAM, you may have data on the T.A.M, and you may have perfectly good reason to be in business, but what people miss is the ability to service the obtainable market. That's what people miss. This is the one that I kind of want to you know stick here and and remember, what did we talk about when we first started? Your T.A.M, think about your total, think about the ocean, right? Something that everyone could buy. And then we said SAM, we said your bay. So think about people likely to buy from you, your kind of business. And then we said your SOM. So this is like your fishing spot. So it's like everybody loves to fish, right? So if you're selling fishing rods, everybody loves to fish. Of course, I'm gonna get in the fishing business, right? It's oceans. Everybody fishes. But then it's like, all right, how many people in the city likes to fish? So like in the area, and then it's like, what is your little fishing spot? right? So what is the mile radius of people that are actually going to come? That's your obtainable market. You know what I mean? So it changes. That's why social media helps a lot of people, but it also confused a lot of people about what's actually obtainable. But it definitely helped a lot of people out. Does that make sense, Grace? All
Yes.
right. There we go. There we go. Okay. So we're gonna do something a little bit interactive, right? We're gonna do something a little bit interactive today. And let's see if we learn something. Let's see if we understand kind of what we did. So let's go through this. All right, here we go. So you're a personal chef. All right. It's me and you today, Grace. You're a personal chef. Who do you pitch to?
Okay, this is gonna kill me. Honestly, I've been doing work while listening, so I'm gonna be so embarrassed whoever watches this later.
Oh no,
But a
you're all right.
personal chef.
Who do you pitch to? Busy parents, aspiring foodies, or bodybuilders with strict micros? If you're a personal chef, who are you gonna pitch to?
Say busy parents.
Busy parents. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, so the answer is
Uh,
C. The answer is C. The answer is C, but we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. So the reason why we wanted to target bodybuilders we want to target bodybuilders with strict
those are
micros.
crazy.
Right, exactly right. But what happens is that bodybuilders have a daily challenge, right? They have to hit exact macros, proteins, carbs, fats, right, for training competition or physique goals. And so it's a non-negotiable part of their lifestyle. So they have a reoccurring need where they eat like 5 to 6 meals a day. That's 30 meals per week, and not necessarily a one-time service. So they have a more willingness to spend. And this audience is always ready for to spend on supplements, coaching, gym, memberships. So they're already committed to spending on their body, right? So there's a pain point, there's a problem that you're solving there. So food for them isn't a luxury, right? Food is fuel. So when you think about busy parents, even though you can market to them, this is why like we have to be very careful about the target audience, because I can definitely, I kind of put there as a trick. But um but they're often, bodybuilders are, time is sensitive for them, right? They're often busy training or working a full-time job. So having a personal chef solves a real pain point around time and consistency. So they're highly motivated and they cannot mess around to miss their diets. So I want to talk to them. Make sense? So, because the difference is that you're not convincing them. With a busy mom, you have to show them like, hey, if you do this, I'm taking this off your plate. If you do this, I'm taking this off your plate. And you got to be able to afford it. With bodybuilders, you're not convincing them what they need. They're already looking for you because they can't afford the time. All right, here we go. Let's go to the next one. Um, who do you niche into as a graphic designer? Who do we pitch to? Who are we talking to as a graphic designer? Do we want to talk to authors, local restaurants, or new realtors?
Realtors.
Okay, let's see. Realtors.
Because
Answers
it's like,
A. We are talking to authors. Let's talk about why though. Let's talk about why. Let's talk about why. Because again, these ones are tricky. But these are the decisions that as business owners that we got to figure out, right? So I can definitely see why you said realtors. As a graphic designer, um, it's most important to figure out which audience is the best fit for my need, right? So clear emotional buying moment. Authors pour their hearts and souls into books. And when they ready to publish, they want it to look professional. This is a one-time moment where they have high emotional investment. So the design of a book is critical to success. A bad book cover can mean fewer sales, right? How many times do we go places and the book cover kind of captures us? And we say, man, what is this? Who is this? It's either the book cover or the book title, right? But either one, right? It it captures us. And a great cover can not only increase sales, so a bad cover can decrease sales, but a great cover can increase sales and gives me credibility and visibility. So for authors, design isn't optional. And we want to, and if you notice a common theme, we're putting ourselves in a position where people need us, not want us, right? It's directly tied to whether the books move or not. Solo buyers, direct decision makers, unlike corporate clients with layers of approval, authors make the call for themselves. Fast decision equal fast cycles. So they're willing to invest. Many authors save and budget specifically for cover designs and formatting. It is one of their top three publishing expenses, alongside editing and marketing. Referrals are easy. If you do great work, you'll be everybody's book designer. They'll refer you to groups, coaches, and communities. It's a tight knit market. So the rise of self-publishing, also the market is showing like the rise of self-publishing, booming demands, 1 million books of self-published each year. So for you, they don't even necessarily have to sell, but they need you to be on that book cover. So that's another option, but yes, realtors for graphic designs are good. What do they need? They need flyers. They need things to graphic designers. Yeah, mostly flyers. That's what I kind of see. Maybe a website or something like that. So yes, but it's all about finding the right fit. All right, one more. Let's see how we did. So you're making branded apparel. You're making clothes. You're making clothes. Who are we pitching to? I'm making clothes. Am I pitching to a local artist for merch? Am I pitching to bachelor or bachelorette parties who may need t-shirts and stuff like that? Or am I pitching to small businesses for staff uniforms?
Are you saying like branded as in like it's like if you need your own company's brand?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Um, I don't know. I feel like I've gotten the other two wrong, so I guess no harm, no foul. I'm going with B.
The bachelor bachelorette parties. I got you. I got you.
So, I mean, so
Let's
I'll
see.
tell you what, people spend money on that, but I mean, I'm kind of left in the hot seat, multitasking, and the only one to
No, you are
answer.
good.
So
You are good. It's
I'm
perfect. It's
so
absolutely perfect.
mortified.
You are good. It is C. It is C. And the main reason why we can go back, but the main reason why is because most businesses who need uniforms, they order in bulk. So if you are let's go through each one. So if you are a local artist and you're looking for branded apparel, then you are really deciding on sales. So so you are dependent on if the other people sell or not, right? So and then you say, okay, I want to I can make shirts for people, but then that's again depending on them doing well. So then if they do well, they'll buy more. If they don't, then they'll buy less. And so you really want to put yourself in a position as the business who makes the brand and apparel to have the best client and the best customer and the most consistent customer. So if you are bachelorette and bachelorette parties, those are good too. But then it's like, how many of those can you sell? Is it, and then how many of those get married? You know what I mean? Is it 20? Is it 10? Is it 15? Is it 30? So good business, you definitely can sell to them and it's going to work. But then if you're three, right, staff uniforms, these people order in bulks. Like don't let it be a Target or don't let it be what else? A Walgreens or you know different type of places, a daycare, right, where people have multiple franchises and they need uniforms and a security company, right? I got a security company where it's like 40 to 50 employees and they're constantly hiring, they're constantly being, and so who they gonna call? They're gonna call the same people they've been calling for years, right? And so you want those like corporate contracts because businesses, especially when you do, I'm in Atlanta, so like a Southern company and things like that, right, where they have 400 employees. Those are the ones because they're going to keep coming back every single year to buy these uniforms. So all three of them work. but then it's like, which one who would you pitch to, right?
Maybe
And
family
that's
reunions. I went to my boyfriend's
there you
family
go.
reunion, so maybe those t-shirts too.
Exactly, exactly. You become the family reunion person, 100%, 100%. So this is kind of how we come to it. And 1 second. And that's kind of how it works. So then now I'm gonna teach you the framework of how to make these choices. So you don't want to just come up with these choices willy-nilly on your own, right? You don't want to just, because as you see, choices like these can be super confusing, right? Sometimes, right? Knowing who to pitch to, knowing exactly what to do. So we have this framework that we're going to teach that, that definitely helps you make these choices. And it's called the 3 C's of market fit. So the 3 C's of market fit: one is customer, one is cash, one is critical needs. We're going to go over each one. So one is customer. So who is clearly feeling the pain or the problem, right? Let's talk about that customer. Can you see this person? Can you see this person in their day? What are they going through? So if we own an accounting business, right? What do we picture? If we like construction, why do we like construction? What do we see? We see people who work 18 hours a day. We see people wake up. We see people getting paid and paying out people, and we see zero time for them to worry about their money. You know what I mean? Like, is it a, and again, is it a real human, right? What is his name? What is her name? How do they manage everything? Do they have a regular bookkeeper like in office, or are they looking for somebody to just take care of it? So I know how much money I have. Please take care of this thing. You know what I mean? Like, so that's what we want. We want to understand who the customer is. So get specific, right? Skill-based entrepreneurs, we mostly skip this, right? Get specific. Women in tech isn't clear. Moms who just returned to work and don't have time to cook is very specific. So, we are talking to construction workers who spend 18 hours a day on construction, and when they get home, they just want to cook. I mean, they just want to eat, go to sleep, wake up in the morning, get ready for work again. That's clear of who that customer is. All right. Makes sense? Instead of just saying the construction worker. Okay, cash. Cash. So are they already spending money to solve this? What are they doing? Oh, look for proof. Look for proof. Look for, have they tried to solve this solution? Are they doing it themselves? Are they on Excel? Are they trying to DIY it themselves? Is money already there? Are there other people that's in the industry being successful in this? So that kind of goes back to the Tom and the Sam and the Tame, right? Because just because it's addressable market and you want to know somebody in that market, because again, obtainable means the Tom is that they can't capture everyone, right? They can't service everyone because some people they're not in their state, right? So even though they can probably reach them in social media, or they might can't reach them honestly because the algorithm won't let them. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of where we look at, or a lot of construction. If we stay with accounting and just other businesses, a lot of people, those people aren't too busy to even be on social media. So then they're looking at their social local, business community, right? What do they call those communities? Slipped my dang on mind. Um, your local, what is it called? I forgot. But a lot of those are in those communities because they don't have time to be on social media, right? They're way too busy for that. And then you gotta, are they used to paying, or do you gotta convince them? That's the other thing, right? Are they used to paying some kind of fee to somebody, or do you got to convince them that this works? Um, so if they're DIYing it, most likely the good thing about most people who try to do things on their own in the skill based world, and we're gonna try first. Believe me, we're gonna try to save every dollar, and we're gonna try to do it on ourselves. it usually catches up with us, right? Especially around tax time and stuff like that, right? It's like, listen, I can't do this another year. I gotta find somebody. Like I'm becoming inefficient. And when I say catch up with us, when we try to do it ourselves, it usually catches up with us and shows up that we're inefficient in other areas, right? So growth is not necessarily our friend, even though we want it, right? It doesn't treat us well. So we have to hire in order for growth to make sense. So we always want to be a part of that growth. And last one, critical needs. So is it urgent, right? Is it deeply? Is it emotional? Am I staying up at night wondering how am I gonna get this done? Right? Is it solving a critical need? Is it annoying? Is it life altering? So so we want to find ourselves, in this market fit of wondering how do we fit? You know what I mean? Like remember, what do we say? What is the iron law of the market, no business. And these three C's will help us identify whether there's a market, whether there's a clear market. And it's okay to have two of these because some of the stuff isn't critical because we do have luxury businesses. We do have, right, all types of businesses that, that's not necessarily critical, but it's fun but you know what I mean? But you just have to understand where you are in these three C's. So that's exactly it. This was exciting. So we have a match score. So I want us to, this is our scorecard. I want you guys to, and I'll send that in the C community, but I want you guys to have a, excuse me. Do you have a clear customer? Is it visible? Is it cash in this space? Is there a critical problem to solve? Right. So, let's answer these and just score it 1 through 5. And then when you add it up, then if you add it up and you get to 15, right? 15, then girl, boy, you are green lighted to go on this business. This is a good business. I've done that with seed, right? I'm in the 14, 15 range over here, which is why I'm sitting here on this camera right now. Right. So if it's below 10, we work that niche. Find that audience. Find that person for that product. And you may have to just change the audience. It may not be the product. It may be change the audience. It may not be the service. Change the audience. Right? Who are you niching with? So these are and then when you get that scorecard, put it in the C community. I want to hear what you guys have. I want to hear that you did it. Engage with us, show us, let us know your score, and then let's grow up from there. So I am excited. I'm excited to share this. Today, this was class. This was absolutely class. It was like an amazing class today. We learned about the iron law of the market. I cannot wait until let me see the first Monday. I'm not sure what day that actually is, but it's going to be an amazing time. I have more to share, more to give, and I can't wait for you guys to learn this stuff. So, as we say, class is dismissed.